Welcome to Watford FC's Black Pioneers podcast series, and today I'm joined by a Watford legend, Lloyd Doyley.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Well, you don't know what we're doing yet, so no, Lloyd, great to have you with us. Look, we're going to talk so much about your journey, particularly from a young age. I want to know the Lloyd Doyley that was running around here, not here, but running around as a youngster. But first of all, can you just tell us a little bit about your heritage, your background, your family?
Yeah, so both of my parents were from Jamaica. They came over with the Windrush. They both came over about 10 years old.
Okay.
And they set up in London. So
what part of London?
First off, it was East London.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with East London, by the way. Yeah.
So Tower Hamlets, Clapton. Yeah. Then ended up moving to Stafford Hill.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, that was our area.
My parents came into Hackney. So know East London very well. I've lived in it most of my life. Did you stick around East London? Or did you?
I stayed around East London up until I was 16.
Right, okay.
And then obviously I moved to Watford to stay in Watford.
What was the young Lloyd like?
I was the happy-go-lucky boy that always wanted to be outside. I was always outside in the cage, we didn't really have playing fields, but we had, cages.
Yeah. It's a safe space to play, wasn't it?
Safe space, yeah, in our state. Safe space. All the boys and girls, actually, always used to go in the cage. So I was playing with boys 5 years older than me, 10 years, didn't matter, younger than me. Yeah. It didn't really matter. The cage was just a safe space for everyone to go to.
What was the vision when you were playing in the cage at that? What age would you have been round
Yeah,
about?
so that was from probably the age of 5 or 6 years old.
Was there a vision back then?
No, there weren't no vision. I just loved playing football and just loved playing out. And I would stay outside until my mum called me, shouted me. That was me, really. But that's what everybody did.
Yeah. What drew you to the game? What drew you to the ball? What was it?
Watching football, match of the day, watching cup finals, and just being out on the actual field and just kicking the ball around.
Tell me who some of those heroes were, or who became heroes for you as you was watching match of the day.
So back then, I took the likings of Nottingham Forest.
Okay.
So why? I'm from Hackney. I should support Tottenham, West Ham, or Arsenal.
Throw Leyton Orient in there as well,
and
can
Leyton
you?
Orient, and Leyton Orient. So that's who I should support. But back then, I can remember watching the cup final. It was Tottenham against Nottingham Forest, and I think Tottenham won 2-1.
2-1, you're absolutely right. I remember it well.
But I can remember watching, they had Stan Collymore, they had Des Walker, they had Brian Roy, Stuart Pearce, Teddy Sheringham, Roy Keane, and I just thought they were
household names, weren't they?
Yeah, they were excellent. And
brilliant.
All those players moved on after that and made a proper career for
I think Des scored an own goal in that cup final, didn't he? I love Des Walker, but I'm a Tottenham fan.
So for me, Des Walker, who I looked up to.
Yeah.
I can always remember people singing "You'll Never Get Past Des Walker."
That's the one.
And
did they sing "You'll Never Get Past Lloyd Doyley"? Did they ever sing that at all?
Well, that's who I emulated myself up against, and for me, defending was a massive part of who I was as a player.
So would you say that Des was one of your ultimate role models then in regards to how you wanted to be as a player?
Yes, 100%. He was the start of it, and I just loved the way he was quick, aggressive, and we've got to remember he played for England as well. He was a massive idol for me.
Brilliant. What was the playground like? So when you were at school, what was the playground like? Was you a dominating ball player? Or did you want the ball and wanted to win at all times? What was that kind of era like?
I was always competitive.
Yeah.
Always competitive. I think that helped by me playing in the cage with the older boys and you have to fight your way and you have to be aggressive to try and get on the ball.
Yeah.
Because you're the smaller one, the younger one. Unless you do that, you're not going to touch the ball. So when I was at school, it was comfortable. I was one of the better players in my group. So luckily enough, when I was 9 years old, I got invited. My teacher said, would you like to go for Hackney trials?
Okay, yeah.
So I went to Hackney trials at the age of 9, 10.
Yeah.
And I got in. Back then, I didn't even have football boots.
Right, okay.
So I went to trial in my trainers.
So many people won't understand this. What do you mean you didn't have football boots? Why did you not have football boots? Aren't they part of the essentials of you playing football?
Yes, I would probably say that. But back then, we was just playing in the cage. So we didn't really play on the grass often. So even at school, it was concrete. It's concrete.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any boots, but I done well at the Hackney trials.
Brilliant.
And I got in, even with trainers. So then I quickly had to go and buy some boots.
What was your first pair of boots, if you don't mind me saying?
My first pair of boots were, I think they were Ryan Giggs new boots. They were all black with red kind of pattern on them. Yeah. I think they were my first boots, yeah.
But what were you as a player back then? Were you a Ryan Giggs type player, or were you already a defender?
I was always a defender.
Always?
Always a
Didn't
defender.
fancy going up the other side of the pitch?
No, it's just I kind of knew what I was good at.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't the greatest at scoring goals.
Yeah.
But what I did know is that I could read the game, even at a young age like that.
Brilliant.
And I was good at defending.
Let's go back into the family home.
Yep.
What was it like? What were you like as a young kid, and how was there discipline in your home? The reason I say that is because I remember my home and the amount of discipline that was there, although I loved the game. Give us a little bit of an insight. You don't have to go too much if you don't want to, but a little bit of an insight into the family home.
My parents were very calm people. I always knew not to cross the line.
Yes.
Discipline, I think my parents gave me the responsibility and I had to deal with the consequences if it went wrong.
Yeah.
But I was a good boy, really. I never really got in trouble too often. I probably learnt from the past of my previous brothers, etc. And I knew what was right and wrong.
That's brilliant. Fantastic, Lloyd. Look, this series is being filmed during Black History Month, and whilst the focus is not to host it in Black History, it's important that we talk about it. Does it mean anything to you? Does it have any significance, Black History Month, or during your journey? Has it not been anything that you've really focused around?
I believe 1 month is not enough. And I believe that it should be just a normal thing. And I don't think we should have a Black History Month.
Right,
I think it should be over a long period. It's just normal.
So keep the conversation wide open.
Yes.
Yeah.
It kind of doesn't matter what colour I am. And that shouldn't stop me from being who I want to be.
So have you always, just in regards to that, have you always had positive experiences as a young person to start with, growing up, throughout your schooling, going to trials, playing for Hackney, eventually coming here? Have you only ever seen that as a positive?
Mostly, yes. Luckily enough, as you know, Hackney, there is a Jewish culture, there's an Asian culture. We had people from Colombia come over in my estate, Chinese, everything. So it was a multicultural area. So I think that taught me so much.
Okay.
And it was only when I was 15, 16, moving to Watford, that it was a different culture to what I was used to back at home.
Explain that a little bit then. What was the difference? What was it about? Look, you've explained, and isn't it brilliant when you can grow up learning from so many different backgrounds, cultures, etc. What was different about Watford at the time that you first came?
Watford back then was a bit more white-based.
Yeah.
And obviously it wasn't as multicultural back then as it is now. And I didn't have any negative, anything negative come away from that, but I had to adapt. And especially with food as well, you know. Coming from a Caribbean family, living in digs was
an experience.
An experience for food-wise, especially. And I understand, you know, it's difficult for the youngsters when they are moving away from home now.
Talk to me about that. What's the family home eating situation like, food situation? I presume that there was all those spices, etc. And you grew up loving those spices, didn't you?
Yes.
So listen, I talk to a lot of academy players all the time, and so that transition from being into a host parent and maybe having to eat food that you've never eaten before, did you have that experience? And was it a conversation with the house parent around the culture, the food, what you've been used to, what's built you up almost, you know? Was there a culture around that? There was a conversation?
No, they quickly began to know what I like and what I didn't like. But I'm quite acceptant of other cultures. So, yes, I adapted it by maybe putting a little bit more hot sauce on or pepper on.
The good old hot pepper sauce,
even in my household, we did have shepherd pie. We did have chicken carne, but it was just a little bit more spiced up.
As a youngster then, what period did you join Watford Football Club, and what was that first experience like in the academy environment for you?
So I was lucky enough at that trial that I spoke to you about, a Hackney trial. I had an academy scout who came to watch, and he took me to his Sunday team first. And then after about 2 or 3 months, he took me to Watford. So this was at the age of 11. So from the age of 11 till 14, I was part of the School of Excellence.
Brilliant.
And Watford used to have 4 or 5 different centres all around the country. And I was one of the better boys. So at the age of under 14s, we all became one. But luckily enough, I was one of the better boys. And then I continued until the scholarship, which was under 16s. And then from there, I left school and I moved to Watford.
Brilliant.
And that was the start of my full-time career.
What was the feeling like of being one of the better ones, as you described it, better players in the environment, and then obviously being at the centre of excellence, knowing that the next step is potentially the academy football? Is that everything that you wanted to achieve anyway? Do you now develop this mindset of, I want to be a professional footballer?
Yes, I think by the time I got to about 15, 16, I knew, you know, it was a hobby. I love football. I love football. And for me, it wasn't about what I could become. It was the fact that I love playing football.
Brilliant.
And then by the time I was 15 or 16, I had a little bit of a realisation. Oh, I might have a chance here. And that's when I pushed forward and just made sure that I was determined to become who I felt I could become.
Were your parents a part of that journey all the way through? Were they pushing you? Were they telling you that your dream is within touching distance?
My parents did it a little bit different. They didn't drive. So they only came and supported me really when I had big games. But I think my parents supported me in a different way. We didn't have a lot of money. So they paid for me to make sure that I got to Watford 3 times a week. They made sure that I had football boots and all the equipment needed, even when they couldn't afford it. So I think that's the way my parents supported me, and I think that helped me.
What did that mean to you at the time then? You know, they would spend whatever they could to make sure, one, that you could get to training, 2, that you had the equipment, you wasn't left without. What did that mean to you? Or does it mean more now that you reflect on it?
Yeah, I think it means more now. Now that I'm an adult now, I understand that.
I'm glad you're an adult, by the way.
I understand that football boots, shin pads, travel is not cheap.
Yeah.
I've got kids now. I keep telling my kids, you've got to respect money. You've got to understand what it takes to earn this money. And now that I can reflect on it, I understand that they did a lot for me that I didn't see.
Yeah. Identity is a massive word, particularly the older we get. Just incorporating your background, what does identity mean to you?
Identity. Well, I see myself as a black British, Jamaican British citizen. I've lived here all my life. Been lucky enough to have a Jamaican culture behind me.
Yeah.
I'm blessed. It's such a rich culture, and wherever you go in the world, everyone knows Jamaicans.
Yeah.
So, I feel privileged.
So let's talk about the culture of Watford Football Club as you're growing within the club. What has that meant to you, the way that you've been embraced, the amount of appearances you've made, the fact that you're back here now, with a tracksuit on, being part of Watford's history? What has all that meant to you?
It means a lot. I've been coming to Watford. I've been part of a Watford, set up since I was 11 years old. So it's 30 years now. And I just love the fact that Watford has taken me in and they supported me, even when I was having bad times and not playing well. They was always behind me. And even when they left, I used to see lots of Watford supporters following me and coming to say hello after games that I played for other teams. So, Watford will always be part of who I am. My family supports Watford. And now I'm back. So, coaching the under-18s. Just waiting for the right time to come back.
What's that feeling like, coming back in a tracksuit, coaching the under-18s, the next generation of Watford first-team players, hopefully?
Yeah, I've been where they are. So I've got that experience. I understand what it takes to come through this type of club. This has always been a community club. And they have to embrace it, but they've got to work hard.
Yeah.
And hopefully they take a little bit of what I can say to them and help them and, make a career for themselves.
Listen, the conversation around the development of black coaches and the fact that we only have 2 currently at the top level of the game, Nuno at your other club, Nottingham Forest, and obviously Darren Moore at Port Vale. We seem to struggle between 2, 4, 6, never getting higher than potentially 8 and then back down again. Do you see that as what the journey that you're on now is a difficult process, or are you just looking at it that you're on a journey, wherever that journey may take me is where I'll go?
It's exactly that. I see it as a journey. Right now, I'm not ready to be a first-team manager or coach in the Football League. But the time will come.
Okay.
And when the time does come, hopefully I will earn it and I will help pave the way for many others.
Brilliant. So do you see yourself managing this club at some stage?
Well, we've all got ambition. I want to be a first-team coach.
Right.
And hopefully it will be here, but if not, it'll be somewhere else.
I'm going to press you on the question again.
Yes.
Do you see yourself being the first-team manager here at some stage?
Maybe a first-team coach.
First-team coach,
yes.
Brilliant. Okay. What journey have you been on in terms of your coaching badges? What does that look like?
So I've coached down at... When I played non-league, When I played non-league, I played up until I was 38.
Right.
I was doing
so
a bit of
many
coaching.
of us to shame, by the way. Do you know that? Played up until 38.
Yeah,
wow.
Just love playing.
How did you find the latter years? Just throwing in another question there.
I got a lot slower, but I still enjoyed it, and that's why I kept on playing.
Yeah.
I understood that the quality of playing with some of the better players when I played in the Championship was not there. But I felt even when I was playing at 37, 38, I was still coaching.
Yeah.
I was still guiding people through.
Right. Okay.
And I happened to get a job at Bournemouth with the academy.
Yeah.
So I stayed there for a year, and then opportunity came up with the first team. So at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
So I took that, and I was there. I was there for 3 years, doing the first team and the academy.
What level are you at the moment in your coaching journey?
So my coaching journey, I'm currently doing my A license.
Okay, fantastic.
So, you know, once I complete that, that's a 2-year period. I'll be able to coach anywhere, really.
Do you see a better future for black coaches in the industry, in the environment? I've said that there's only 2. Yes, we'll have some coaches dotted around some of those 92 clubs, but for me, it's still almost a pitiful figure. Do you see that this next generation of young coaches, including yourself, will have a better future because of those that have paved the way before?
Yes. I think you look at loads of academies right now, there's a lot of black coaches around. It's just the next step, really. The next step is where we want to get to.
Right, okay.
And I think the next generation that's coming up will pave the way for, especially for the future ones.
Do you see barriers, or do you think actually barriers are there to overcome?
Yeah, I don't see that many barriers.
Okay.
I've got belief in myself.
Brilliant.
And I think if you have belief in yourself and the right opportunity comes at the right time, then you'll get where you want to get to.
You spoke to me about Des Walker.
Yes.
Who's your coaching role models?
Coaching role models. So it's very weird. It's weird. So 25 years ago, when I became academy coach, academy player, my coach was a guy called Jimmy Gilligan.
I know Jimmy very well.
And he's here right now.
That's right.
He gave me the job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that he gave me a good platform.
Brilliant.
He was harsh.
Yeah.
He was tough.
Yeah.
But I think that paved the way for me. And I thought anything after that was easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That tough love kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
He gave me a lot of tough love.
Yeah.
And I thought it was brilliant. But first team, I'd probably say, believe it or not, Viali and Ray Wilkins.
Oh, wow.
They gave me the opportunity as in the first team. At the time when they brought in 13, 14 Premiership players.
Lots of players, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he still gave me an opportunity. And I played 25 games that year. They gave me the belief in me
that you were good enough.
That I was good enough. Even though we had internationals in our team. And I think they were brilliant.
Fantastic, brilliant. God rest both of their souls.
Yes.
What was the feeling like? Sorry, I've kind of gone bouncing backwards and forwards. What was the feeling like of helping this club get promotion to the Premier League and then playing in the Premier League?
Yes. Well, it was a weird 2 years, to be honest.
Really?
Because the year before that, we were tipped to be relegated.
Yeah.
And we just survived. A.D. Boothroyd's come in with probably about 10 games before the end of the season, and we stayed up.
Yeah.
And the following year, he brought in loads of players, got rid of lots of players. And the players who he brought in were hungry players that had a point to prove. And he brought in the youngsters like me, like Ashley Young, like players like Anthony McNamee, Hamad Bouatsa, who are hungry to achieve something. And we built a team that was awesome. We had a proper team ethic,
fantastic
mentality. We worked for each other. And that season, I played in every game.
Wow.
I was sub for one game and I came on at half time. So I played over 50 games that season.
Wow.
It was a good point in my career that I actually really pushed on.
Fantastic.
And we got promoted. We was tipped to get relegated that season also.
Okay.
So the fact that we finished third and we got promoted, and we had a cup final at Millennium Stadium, was a massive achievement for the group we had, and it was always stay in my memories. We won 3-0 against Leeds. The belief we had going into that game, you just felt we was always going to win, and we did.
Brilliant. So let me take you to this period of time, see if you remember this, yeah? 260 plus games. There's Lloyd Doyley down the left-hand side, high up, wide. You're playing left-back, I think.
Yes.
Ball goes into the box. Now, I'm not sure if it was a headed pass or it was a header at goal. But then all of a sudden, this flying Doyley comes out of nowhere, heads in his first Watford goal after 260 plus appearances. Now, I've watched the clip, and also, you didn't celebrate like someone who just scored their first ever goal in professional football.
I did.
Well, first of all, you ran as if you didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think it was Tom Cleverley who kind of said to you, they're the fans, get over there.
Yes.
Then you went a little bit mad.
Yes.
I want that feeling. I want a little bit of that essence of what that felt like.
So I'm going to start you from before that.
Oh, okay.
Before that game. So before that game, the Watford fans understood that I hadn't scored, and it was all in the media.
Yeah.
And every time I went past the halfway line, the fans would say, "Shoot, shoot." I've got a little story for you.
Yeah.
My brother came to a game,
Yeah.
and he was like, after the game, "Why are they booing you every time you get in the ball?"
Yeah.
And I said, "No, they're not booing me. They're saying shoot."
Yeah.
So obviously the fans really wanted me to score, and I was getting closer before that. I was getting closer.
Is it one of them where you were just taking shots from everywhere?
Yeah,
and then
I
all
was
of a sudden...
taking shots, especially playing left back.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
able to cut in on my right
Yeah.
foot and take a shot on my
Yeah.
right foot, and I got close a few times. But during that game, we was playing against our rivals,
Yeah.
QPR, and it was actually on Sky Sports. It was on TV that day, and I can just remember starting it off on the left back by the halfway line, and I just continued my run all the way into the box, and the ball just ended up being right at my head, so I just flew and just headed it into the goal. And that moment was a bit surreal.
Yeah.
Because the fans went silent for about a second or two. Like they couldn't believe that I scored.
Yes.
And then once they realised it was me, the atmosphere was electric.
Brilliant.
Hair, I've got no hairs on my arms, but hairs were standing up on my arms the whole game. But we still had a game to actually try and win.
Yeah.
You know, that made it 1-1 at the time. But throughout the whole game, the Watford fans were singing my name the whole game.
Wow.
And it was a great feeling.
I can see it in your eyes. I can see the feeling. How many times have you watched it back?
I try not to watch myself too often, but people always, whenever they meet me, they always say, "I was there when you scored."
Oh, that's amazing.
And lucky enough, Watford made some T-shirts, and people always come up to me and show me the T-shirt or get me to sign it.
At that moment, and I know there would have been loads going through your mind, is that everything that you'd work towards? Is that the fact that you're a professional footballer, first and foremost, but scoring a goal for your club at that moment and all the celebration and the fact that it's part of Watford's history since, as you say, T-shirts were made, etc. Was that everything that you wanted football to be?
Yes. Do you know what? Growing up, I always just wanted to be on Match of the Day.
Yeah.
I think that was my little thing. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the high life, the high life, being a typical footballer. It was about just playing football, doing what I love playing. you know, there's not a better job getting paid for doing what you love doing.
Yeah.
But that moment there was incredible for me personally. As a defender, you don't really get that feeling as a striker, meaning this, you know, the winning goal. I got that feeling, and I must admit, it's something that I would want to feel again. Luckily enough, I did get to feel it one more time.
Yeah, I was going to go to
lost that game.
Yeah, so we don't remember that one, do we?
Not many people remember the second goal. But yeah, it is what I thought and wanted growing up as a footballer.
Listen, we can take a ball and I'll let you score one against me afterwards. Is that okay? Look, we have to turn the level of conversation around. Yes. Have you ever experienced, or another angle to it, have your parents ever spoken to you about what life was like coming over to England first and foremost? So there's two parts of it there. One from a parental story.
Yes.
And the other from have you ever experienced racism in the game? And what impact, if you have, what impact did it have on you?
Let me start with my parents. Obviously, they moved over at a hard time.
Yeah.
I know they were helping the country. Like, my mum was a nurse.
Yeah.
You know, that was typical what Jamaicans or Caribbeans came over and did.
Yeah.
And my grandma was a nurse before that as well. Yeah. So it was what Caribbeans did. My mum and dad never complained.
Right.
I knew it was hard, but they both had stable jobs.
Yeah.
And they never complained, so they never gave me or had an excuse of anything, really. Yeah. So they kind of probably hid it from me.
Okay, that's the good way.
They probably hid it from me.
Yeah.
But for me personally, as a player, I only ever once had a racial comment
directed at you.
Directed at me.
Okay.
And someone called me a monkey on the field.
Right.
I was probably about 19 or 20. I was shocked, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
I was shocked. I said, "What did he say?" And he said, "Same again." Yeah. And back then, the education wasn't there as it is now. You still see it now occasionally, but that was the only once I saw that, and it was aimed at me. I actually said to the referee, he's just called me a monkey.
Yeah.
I can't remember what game it was.
Right, okay, no worries.
And the ref said, you should have punched him.
The referee told you that?
Yeah.
Did it go through your mind?
No. I was just focusing on the game.
What reaction did you have internally after the game, if you did?
I couldn't actually even remember who it was.
Okay.
So I couldn't even take it forward.
Did it have an impact on you, though?
No, but I did remember it. I still remember it now.
I always say the fact that you're sharing it, of course it had an impact on you, but we know where to park it, don't we, almost? Yeah.
Yeah. I parked it and I just moved on. But I think now, if I had that now, I probably would have stepped it up and took it forward.
Okay.
But at the time, I didn't.
Have you ever been on a pitch then when one of your teammates or the opposition or anything like that, they've experienced the same kind of feeling?
Yes, but not on the pitch. More, they've experienced it.
Yeah.
Wherever they have been, they've experienced it. And some have, especially on social media right now.
Yeah.
Social media, there's loads of people that will hide behind, a keyboard. I've only experienced it once on social media as also. But I know others that have experienced it a lot more. And it's difficult to get your head around it because it's 20, you know what I mean? 2021, 24, sorry.
Yeah.
So you think you've bypassed that because you see a lot of colour or multi cultures on TV right now, and you'd think that would be gone, but it's still there.
Where are we with racism in football in general then? As you've just stated, it's 2024. Is football dealing with it well enough? We hear these multiple stories. Vinicius Jr. came out recently, has been racially abused 12 times in 2 seasons. His mentality must be off the scale, by the way, to continue to go out there. But where are we in 2024 in your eyes?
I think it's a lot better. I think, I think all we can do is try and educate people and keep it in the limelight. And hopefully the education and people telling people that that's not right will change the culture. I fully understand different cultures have different ways of calling black people people.
Doesn't make it acceptable, though, does it?
It's not acceptable.
Yeah.
We just need to educate them in the right way.
Brilliant. If I was to ask you for a role model, a black role model, because of the significance of the month that we're in, doesn't have to be a footballer, by the way.
Yeah.
Who would you steer towards?
Oh, this is a difficult one. You might have to come back to me on that one.
Well, I'm going to come back to you now. Yeah. It's the last question. Well, tell me this.
Yeah.
Watford, and you've kind of explained this to me, such a diverse community now, isn't it? Such a diverse culture around the football club, the environment, and even working in here, playing staff, etc. How important is that for you then to know that you're walking into work every day with a culture? You told me about how you grew up and the culture that you grew up. How important is it every day that this club understands its responsibility to everybody from a diverse background, as well as those that are here, have been here for many, many years?
Do you know what I've always loved about Watford? It's a proper community club.
Yeah.
And I can remember when Graham Taylor was here. Yeah, he made sure every player went out into the community and done whatever was required.
Brilliant.
And we've still got that. And as you can see, from the first team all the way down, there's multicultural. Yeah. So hopefully they can see that there is a black coach that is involved and there is someone that has done it and understands where they're coming from. And hopefully that's what I bring.
Did you have that person then, again, from whatever background, as you came into the environment and you had to understand what the culture was like within the football club, did you have that person that you looked up to and maybe sought advice from every so often when you came in as a professional footballer? Yeah?
As a professional footballer, I think I got more from players.
You're right, okay.
Yeah, the likes of Chris Powell and other coaches, Micah Hyde, Gifton Noel Williams that were here. Yeah. So they taught me a lot, especially someone like Gifton Noel Williams. He actually played for my old Sunday team.
Oh, right, okay.
But the older age group.
Yeah.
So he taught me a lot, and he actually looked after me.
Brilliant.
While giving me a little dig at the same time. So I think he helped me adapt to the culture as well. Brilliant. And at the same time, Watford have always been welcoming.
Brilliant.
Always been welcoming.
But was it important that it was someone who you could identify with?
Yes.
To help you understand what it was like to be in this magnificent environment?
Yes, and I think Gifton done that to me by looking after me and telling me what was right and wrong and tell me what to expect. And luckily enough, the person who actually brought me to Watford was a scout. And he actually coached me and mentored me.
Fantastic.
Up until recently, So
where you're struggling for that role model to answer that question,
yes,
it's the ex-scout that brought you here, yeah?
Yes,
What
Carl
was his name?
Dixon.
Oh, wow. Now,
Yes.
you know I know Carl Dixon, didn't
Yes.
you? I've known Carl for many, many years. So he's the person you'd like to shout
Yes.
out as the role model.
Yeah.
Carl, whenever you watch this, and I know that you will, because I'm going to make sure you do, your name is in the environment for sure.
Yes.
Thank you, Lloyd. I really appreciate you spending some time with me, and also your wisdom on your journey. Thank you.